Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to All Day, Every Day, where honestly, I just tell some stories, talk about, current events. But today I'm going to tell you guys how little we have as far as rights when it comes to us. We think we live in a free country, and yes, it is kind of free, mostly free, but at any moment, your freedom could just be yanked from you for no reason. And this is my story about when I got arrested. So, all right, guys, let me lay this out. I'm driving in Vegas. It's about 3 o'clock on the freeway, and I get pulled over. And I'm like, shit, I know this. I know better than to do this. I have my registration. It's past due. It's about 2 weeks past due, and cop pulled in behind me. Highway patrol saw it was, out of date. I'm like, crap. Well, hey, do the crime, you pay the time. I'm going to get a ticket. So be it, whatever. So I get out, talk to the cop, get my proof of insurance, get that. Well, he comes back from his car, gun drawn. Get out of the car. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I get out of the car, put your hands, okay, put my hands on the car. I'm just baffled, but I know enough to listen to the police. Don't argue with them. That's not the judge. That's not it. You go along with it. So I did. I went along with it, and throws me in the back of his car. It's 3 o'clock and in Vegas day, I'm in the back of a police car on the freeway, and he searches my truck, comes back, and I'm like, excuse me, officer? What? I think you got the wrong guy. Are you Chris Cooksey? Yeah, that's me. Well, you're under arrest. You have a warrant. I go, a warrant? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, can I ask what for? And I hear his voice, I see like the look on his face change, and he goes, it's for proof of insurance. Seriously, I swear to you, this is the truth. I had gotten pulled over 2 years before. I was going 5 over, but I didn't have my insurance card on me. The cop let me off on the speeding, and he wrote me a ticket for proof of insurance. What you have to do on those proof of insurance tickets is you fax in that you had insurance at the time you were driving, and they get rid of the ticket. So I did that. I faxed it in. That shows you how long ago it was. I faxed it in. Then I called and confirmed that they received my fax of my proof of insurance and that my ticket was gone. Done. Okay, right? I'd completely forgotten about it. Apparently, they didn't process it. That lady didn't handle it. And I had a warrant. And for those of you that don't know, you can have a warrant at any time. Nobody sends you anything. I don't know if there's a database you can check to find out if you have one of these, but I strongly recommend if you've had any legal issues, follow up and make sure all your stuff got taken care of, because they don't care. They put it in the system, and then you just get arrested and have to deal with it. Luckily, at this point, the cop realized, oh boy, take this guy in for proof of insurance? Like, what a ridiculous thing to get arrested for, right? So he lets me get a hold of my ex-wife at the time. She arranges to have him come pick up my truck. So at least they didn't tow my truck. So I get downtown, and the guy's getting kind of polite, but I guess if you're the highway patrol and once you've radioed in that you have somebody who has a warrant, I guess it's policy. He couldn't let me go, so he said, I have to take you in. That's the way it is. Talked to some other people. They've concurred. If he had noticed what the warrant was like before, he could have stopped it, but once he had called it in, there was no backing out of it, and he had to take me in. Okay, whatever. My buddy, Kaz, works downtown at the jail. I show up, and Kaz is like, what are you doing here? I'm like, he got me for proof of insurance. He goes, wait, you don't have insurance? I go, no, I have insurance. And I explained the whole situation to him and how I shouldn't have been in there. And he's like, oh man, that's ridiculous. All right, well, hey, I'll get you out of here, no problem. So they sit me down, and then they move me into another room with all the other criminals, men on one side, women on the other side, and I'm sitting in there, and I mean, it's pretty gnarly in there. It's really tense. That's the first time I ever went to jail in downtown Las Vegas. I mean, just in general. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. So he grabs me. Hey, Chris, come here. So in front of all the other criminals, he tells me, hey, I got to go. This guy right here, or the guy over there is going to get you out of here. And we'll have you out of here by like 4:30, 5 o'clock. My buddy Kaz had to go, shift change, and he couldn't stay late. He had like an infection. He had to get an IV. So he's out. So I'm waiting. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll be out of here in no time. This is kind of a big misunderstanding. Well, apparently that guy didn't like my friend. So instead of cutting me loose, You transfer from the main room where you're all in chairs facing forward and all the women are on this side and the men are on this side. They call you and then they take you back to a cell, and then they take you from a cell to the upstairs. Well, they took me to a cell. They take me and a couple of, there's your holding cell. It's freezing cold, it's concrete, it smells. Oh, it's not fun, guys. You don't want to, I'm like, what am I doing? I was supposed to be gone. But apparently that guy doesn't like my friend. So they're just holding me in there. I have no idea, why am I in here? And then there's a phone in there, but you had to register when you were in the other room. And I'm like, well, I thought I was going home, so I didn't bother registering for anything. So luckily, well, I'm sitting in there, and these skinheads, I call them skinheads, they were just more like meth heads, start comparing swastika tattoos. There's 6 people in there, 4 of them are white, 1 Mexican, and 1 black guy. And the black kid goes, man, they couldn't put one brother in here. And I'm just, at this point, I'm starting to get really annoyed, and I'm super frustrated. And I'm way bigger and way healthier than anyone in this jail cell. I have no doubt I could take 3 or 4 of these guys at the same time. And I'm just beyond myself. And I'm really annoyed that these guys are comparing their swastikas and kind of trying to bully the little black kid. So I just looked at him and I go, I got you. I'm half black. And their faces looked at me like I had sold down my race. And I'm like, I don't even care. Fuck you, dude. I'll fucking beat the shit out of both you guys. I really don't care. And I'm starting to get frustrated. And then, I'm like, man, how do you guys, one guy makes a call. He's a Mexican guy. He makes a call. And I said, dude, what do you do? And he said, oh, you got to register. But luckily, since he saw what I had just done with the other kid, he's like, oh man, here, use my card. So I'm calling my wife with, Javier's. She's like, are you accepting call from Javier or whatever his name? And she's like, what is going on? And I had to explain to her, like, I guess you get to register with the phone. I didn't register because I didn't even know I was going to a cell. I said, I don't know when I'm getting out of here. Can you try and get a hold of Kaz? Well, Kaz at this point had gotten his IV and gone to bed. He had to be up pretty early. I think he came back in at like 5 or 6 a.m. So he's already out, and nobody can get a hold of him. So he doesn't even know. He thinks I'm home. So they held me in that tank. Then they processed all the people that were in the holding cell, and they either released them or took them upstairs. And then a whole new group comes in. And at this point, I'm like, wait, why did they all go and I was the only one that stayed? This happened 2 times. They processed 2 groups of people before they finally, and they didn't pull me out until an hour before my buddy's next shift. I don't think that was a coincidence. And that's the thing, is they didn't even write me a ticket. They had nothing. But I did find some interesting things about jail. There is a lot that can be done with toilet paper. They plugged the vent, they made pillows. I mean, it's crazy when you take the human senses and stop stimulating them and allow you to just look at one thing and try and figure out what you can do with limited stuff. It's amazing what you can build and what they can come up with when you deprive the other senses. That's why this whole generation of cell phones, it's cutting out creativity. But I did have a funny story. The midnight group of guys that came into my cell, one of them was drunk, and he's like, man, I got tased. I go, what do you mean? I was in a fight downtown. I was running away. I got tired, and I turned around. I raised my arms to surrender. They hit me with the taser. And then when they hit me with the taser, I started doing the Frankenstein. And they hit me again. He had 2 taser holes in him. Like, man, they got me good. But there was some interesting dudes in there, and one poor kid was in there. He's on a drug program, drank too much water. So if you drink too much water when you go to piss test, they just hold you. So, but yeah, interesting stuff. They finally let me out. No bail, no nothing. Just let me out. So, was what it was. All right, guys. Thanks. Later.